Well, hello and welcome to Hello Chaos, the unfiltered podcast for founders, kind of in the messy middle here. We have no fairy tales here, just the real grind, the grit, and chaos of what it takes to start and build a business. Today, I'm excited to have on the show. We've got Lael AnnMarie. AnnMarie, by the way, that's my sister's name, so I
Oh,
love it.
fun.
You are so Lael, she comes to us. She's the founder of EcoLux Goods. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Welcome to the
you.
chaos
Thank you for having me.
of our world, our messiness. Well, start us out and tell us what got you inspired, motivated to start your own company.
Well, this is actually my fourth company.
Oh my goodness.
I opened my first salon business at 20 years old. I'm almost
Wow.
40, so that was a very long time ago. And I
A
still work in the
veteran.
salon. I still, I'm self-funded. I bootstrapped every venture. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm still in the salon 3 days a week. I love it. But this is my third business that I'm working on scaling. My first product-based business. The others were
Yeah.
SaaS. So yeah, I guess I was drinking a beautiful $30 cocktail out of a paper straw that was disintegrating in my mouth and my drink as I was drinking it. And I'm like, there's got to be something better than this. And at the time, California had banned single use plastics, which I'm totally on board for. I'm an ocean
Yeah.
lover. I'm a conservative or conservationist, I guess you should say. And so I'm on board with that. But I was like, this paper straw is not
There's
it.
got to be a better consumer experience
Exactly, especially
than
for an
these.
elevated experience, when you're
Yeah.
drinking, it's one thing if you're drinking a $5 happy hour from a dive bar, but if you're, having a beautiful drink, you want something that's not disintegrating in your mouth.
Yeah. So what was that shift? I mean, you're like, okay, there's got to be so what was the moment where you're like, all right, I think there's a better way. How do I create a product? I mean, you're literally like making something. What
Yes.
was that process like?
Well, in my head, I'm a visionary. I have a list I call it my bucket list in my notes app, and it's like all the things, and these things just kind of come to me. So in that moment, within 5 minutes, I was like, all right, if you want something and you expect someone to reuse it, carry it around with them, bring it out in front of their friends at a bar. It's got to be beautiful. It's got
Mm,
to be special and it's got to be like a statement, right? And I'm like, okay, what can that be? And also, if you're carrying it around in your bag or your,
yeah.
purse, you want it to not have germs and be collecting bacteria, especially if you're going to put
Right.
your mouth on it. And I don't know what third, fourth grade chemistry tells you that gold and silver are naturally antimicrobial, antibacterial,
That's right.
fungus, molds don't grow on it. And I was like, aha, that's it. And like, how bougie is that to pull out a gold straw and be like, I don't use paper straws.
That's right.
So that's
um,
really where it came from. And then from there, I, really was working the business model. And with all my past businesses and the
mm,
experience, I really wanted to create something that was around my values and that had impact.
okay.
So we are a California social purpose corporation, and I have
Okay.
committed 10% of our profits to ocean conservation, as well as communities that support women in business and survivors of abuse.
Nice. So, how did you figure out who to go to help design, manufacture, like produce your product? Did you already have those connections from your other companies? The ecosystem in California, did you like was it easy to make those connections? Like how did that I'm always fascinated with that because it's such a just a whole different beast when you deal with a tangible manufacturing of like creation of a product versus SaaS or service and dealing with a whole different supply chain. So talk to me about that chaos.
Yeah, chaos it is. Because this is my third scaled startup, I did have a business network, but
Mm,
they were mostly in tech. So I had never done manufacturing. I've never produced a product. I had no idea what I was doing. While I have, the business background, zero manufacturing, zero connections. And I was a member at the University Club in San Diego and met a
nice.
jeweler who makes jewelry and manufactures out of
Mm,
the country. So I talked to him and told him my idea, and he's like, let's see what we can do?
right. I would like a gold straw, please.
Exactly. He was like, why? And I'm like, why not? But he did. I mean, he was really kind. And we did probably, my gosh, probably 12 different prototypes. We did
Wow.
handmade. And, for me, bootstrapping budgets was a thing, and you're looking at minimum
Yeah.
order quantities. So my first like 100, they were all handmade. And it was, he connected me with his manufacturing partner in India. I went out
Okay.
there, met with them, did the whole thing. And then when I was like, okay, we're going to really scale this and I'm going to double
Right.
down, I had to, they make jewelry and they're really good at that. Um, but, I needed to find a process that was more consistent,
Mm.
and get the gold thickness correct and all of those things. Yeah, it was a journey, and if it wasn't for that jeweler, I don't know where I would be. I don't know how I would have even found connections.
Are you using a different manufacturer that's more like a straw manufacturer now and just going, let me bring the right materials? Or did you help expand that manufacturer to do something in a little bit different?
We are still using jewelers.
Nice.
There are
Okay.
artisanal jewelers that have been doing jewelry for a very, very long time,
Mm.
and it's the first time they've been making straws. They
Oh,
do jewelry, but because of the quality of the metals, we needed people who had access as well as knew how to work with them and knew
right.
about, all of those things. Sourcing, ethical sourcing was a big one for me.
Mm.
Which when you're talking about mining and all of that, it can be a challenge.
Right.
But we are using 70% recycled materials, and yeah, they've been great.
Did you have to learn all of that? Or
I
were
had to
you
learn
already kind of,
everything.
you had to learn all that, like the whole ethical sourcing? Like, did you even realize that was a thing and go, okay, wait a minute. Let me take a step back. I want to make sure that we stay true to the values, what I stand for. These are some boundaries that I want to adhere to. Was that like a whole new process?
Well, luckily, I knew what I wanted going in. And so I was
Yeah.
pretty firm about that. Sustainability and ethics has
Mm.
always been part of my ethos and every part of my business. My salon is a luxury, sustainable salon. I only use
Mm.
sustainable products. And so, again, leading with my values
Right.
made it a little bit more challenging to find the right fit for a manufacturing partner. It also made it really easy to say no to
Yeah.
certain ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are, certified recycled materials and ethical manufacturing as well.
What was the biggest aha moment that you've had? Whether it's in this business or maybe a previous one, but any good, like, whoa, that's a zinger piece of information.
Gosh, how do I even start? I guess Mary, I'm gonna have to think about this one a little
No.
bit.
Or was there a big, like, shit moment that might have turned into an aha moment?
My God, oh shit moments are yes, every day. I would probably say the most impactful oh shit moment for me was when I was building and scaling my first business, which was a
Ah,
SaaS platform that connected beauty professionals with advanced beauty education globally.
wow.
And so the whole model hinged on gathering in groups and travel. And then COVID hit. And I
Yeah.
was in my first round of funding. I had a verbal commitment for a lead. It had taken me forever to get there because this was my first. I didn't even know I was a tech founder until my mentor was like, you got to apply for
You're
this
in
pitch.
tech, you're a SaaS company. Welcome.
He's like, you got to apply for this pitch competition. I'm like, oh, no, that's tech. He's like, you have a tech company. I'm like, no, I don't. I have an education company. So that's how like
I'm a community company.
I that's how green and raw I was. But yeah, so I was like finally gaining some real momentum.
Mm.
I was bootstrapping, going for funding, and then COVID hit and the whole world stopped and my model was cut at the throat in overnight.
Wow.
And our industry was just throttled by
Oh,
COVID.
yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
brutal. And, I had the choice to pivot to online, but I'm a values driven person
Mm.
and founder, and my heart says skills based education needs to be in person, not just you're building relationships. And a lot of what we do, we're working with our hands and it's ergonomics and it's body position. And so to me, it was so important to keep that in person.
Yeah.
And I just, everybody was pivoting to digital and my heart just wasn't in
Are
that
you gonna
space.
Are you gonna revisit it, or have you revisited that? Because the world's now changing back to, yes, there's now more hybrid, but I think there's a thirst for that more human, authentic connection, especially when it comes to, like, skill-based training. That in-person desire is there. Have you like, are you gonna take it off the shelf, or are you still shelving it?
I've shelved it. I think for me, I'm already spread so thin. I'm a single
You're
woman
like, "Let's
running a
work on the
business.
straws."
Right. And I have my salon business still, and I'm bootstrapping this business. So I really just need to stay focused where I'm at. Hairdressing is
Yeah.
my first love, my first passion, my first business. It will always have a big piece of my heart. But COVID shifted our industry in a massive way. Social
Yeah.
media shifted our industry in a massive way. And I won't say it's bad or good, it's just different.
Yeah.
And so
The
for
landscape
me,
changes. Yeah. How do we deal with it? Yeah.
exactly. And so really, I'm really loving what I'm doing. My whole heart is into it. And, people still are like, you sell what? A gold straw? And I'm like, well, yes, it's a gold straw. It's beautiful. It's, all these things. But for me, it's about values and impact and what
Mm,
that gold straw represents and what I can do with the resource that comes in with that. And that's making real change in my community.
right. Are you selling direct to consumers, or are you looking for like a pipeline to sell into, like a reseller distributor that goes into like bars and grocery stores and, high end, I call it like the bar boutiques.
Yeah. Well, we started D2C e-commerce and kind of proved our concept that way.
Mm,
And then I quickly realized that I need quantity.
yeah.
And so I had an opportunity in the luxury hospitality sector. And so I've been pushing that really hard. We dabbled in retail. We got an offer to sell on Anthropologie Marketplace. But
Wow.
just due to resources, I am like, I have to be very tunnel vision. So yeah, I would love to be in retail stores, but that's gonna have to be down the road when we
Yeah.
actually have the resource to invest in massive
And
inventory.
do that.
So right now we are highly focused on wholesale accounts and
Okay.
corporate gifting. So we're
Okay.
looking at high-end hospitality, corporate business gifting, whether it's
Yeah.
holiday or convention and things like that. Private jet companies, yachts, that's
Gotcha.
where we're focused on, but
Low hanging fruit where that aligns.
you would think
Yeah.
it's low-hanging fruit, but man, I'm going after mammoths, and it is like there's a lot
Oh,
of red tape, but we're doing it, we're in the rooms, we're having the conversations, and, it just takes a really long
I think it
time.
takes longer than most people realize, how, especially with goods, CPG, it just, it's not a let's start it and then 6 months we're everywhere. I mean, it's dealing with people, dealing with, yeah, red tape,
And when you're talking with big corporations,
and multiple people. Like, I think that is
exactly,
I think people think, "Oh, I'm targeting that one company." It's like, yeah, but it's 20 people that you need to convince at that one company. It is not
exactly.
it's not one person. You gotta convince the, purchasing, you gotta get a champion, you gotta deal with, and
And then
it's
it's
a
accounting and
group
budget
of,
approval, and then it's back to
yes.
the table for quantity negotiations. And I mean, you get it.
Yeah,
When we're talking with one organization, there's multiple departments within that organization, which are
yeah.
all separate entities that don't talk
And no
to
one
each
wants to
other.
own it. You gotta find an owner, you gotta find a champion.
Wait,
And just keep at it. Yeah, I think that, because I think that's a myth that might be boiling out there of like, "Oh, that should be really easy. If you only target 10 companies or you only target 100 companies, it might be a small list, but it's sometimes a much just nuanced sale that takes different little messages to convince each of those players."
exactly. And each one you have to like hit the nail. And, we've been in conversations with one organization in particular. We're now in 5 departments, which is incredible. But, it's been 5, 6 months. And I'm like,
Yeah.
where's that PO? But there, it's budget
Let's go,
approvals and
people. Yeah.
exactly. And in particular, I'm working with a casino. So that's gaming commissioners,
Okay.
that's vendor approvals. It's just the list goes on and on. Like right when I'm like, okay, I did it. They're like, oh, we need this.
Yeah.
And some of these gaming commissions, it can take a year and a half to get approval,
Wow.
and then they're ranked, and that, so it's a beast.
Wow. So even the gaming commission has to get involved for like what goes into a drink
It's for any
for
vendor.
any
Any
vendor.
vendor to any
Wow.
casino, the gaming commission gets
Has to be.
involved. And I actually got a lucky bypass by partnering with a distributor who is already registered as a vendor. He's ranked number one in all of
Nice.
Las Vegas. He's incredible. And so I'm selling to him and he's
Okay.
selling to them. So we
Okay.
bypassed. So I'm like, I have to remind myself all the time I am in like the Autobahn fast lane. But
Yeah.
even with that, it just is a lot of red tape.
Yeah. But it's the reality, you know.
Yeah.
That is.
Yep.
Were there any other big myths that's like, it should be easy. It shouldn't be this. Were there any other kind of myths, even not just with this company, but with your others that you were like, that was not how it was supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, I think it's really just the timing. Like, I think as a founder, you hear a yes and you're like,
Mm,
all right, we're going to do this. And by
good.
next week, we're going to have this, and then all of a sudden it's like, you have to follow up 100 times. You have
Yeah.
to like really stay on people. And a lot of times the yes is like a lip service. And then,
Yeah.
so I think that's been a challenge for me because when I say yes to something, I'm gonna do it
I'm
and
gonna do it. Yeah.
it's gonna be
Right.
done within 24 hours because I like to just check things off
Knock it
my
out.
box. But not everybody's like that, and I'm not anyone's priority. And so you really have to be the bug in the ear. There's a lot of follow-up. And I
Right.
don't think people mean to do that. I think they're
No.
just busy and have their own things going on.
But I think you're right. I think there's a decade or so ago, you could probably like do follow ups once a month or whatever. But I think now with our attention span, you really do. We've had to change kind of our cadence for follow up, and it's sometimes it might make people uncomfortable to go. I just sent a reminder 2 days ago, and it's like you need to send another reminder, like until we get the yes or the no, till we get closure.
Exactly. And that's
We're
something.
following up.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing is like a yes or a no. You have
Yeah,
to like bother these people until they tell you to go away. And the hard
yeah,
part is like I get those emails all the time. I get those DMs and you're like, "Oh my God, this is annoying."
right.
But it's like
You
you got to do it.
Like, give me an answer. It was one of the best like an aha moment for me was the best piece of advice I got from, I was in an accelerator back in 2018. And, I felt like I had my pitch, I had my sales kind of cadence and rhythm. And I said, what frustrates me is that sometimes I have to do 6 to 20 follow up like and coffee meetings or I'm sitting with somebody and I feel like I'm giving kind of free advice, free. And he kind of stopped and he said, "You're chasing the yes." He was like, "You need to reshift everything and and get to the no as fast as possible." And I was like, "What?" And he said, he goes, "You're pleaser." He said, it will burn your business. Like it will burn you out in business development. And I thought about, I'm like, oh, that's like genius. He says, like, so in your first meeting, you need to design your questions, like whatever that is to get to the no faster. And he said, sometimes you need to say, you'll get to the maybe. Like if you're not getting a yes, it's a maybe. And then the maybe becomes the conversation around, okay, not yet, when. So I don't want to waste either one of our time. So yeah, to redesign kind of my follow-ups or even just design that first initial kind of discovery meeting was like a 180 from what I was doing. It saved so much more time because also it's like trying to find the right fit and being very upfront of maybe we're not right for you, you're not right for us. And kind of putting it in that was just such a good lesson learned for me on sales of I never thought of it that way of get to the no faster.
Yeah, I mean that's great
Yeah.
advice, especially cuz
We all do it. We all want to get the yes.
yeah,
We all want cuz it's a win
exactly.
and it feels good. But yeah, that was my so now that's how I walk into it. I'm like, you're right. I gotta. it might not work out. And I not, and I, cause the other thing I was doing was like, I was writing proposals and estimates and all this stuff, and I'd get ghosted. So I was doing all the work. And that was like, that's the first meeting is, should I even bother sending you a proposal, or here's just kind of our price sheet as a first shot. And then we put them in our nurture um, kind of cadence and sequence. But it takes the load off of me of scheduling meeting dates all the time for
Yeah.
people who then, it's just wasted time. Um, so that's helped.
It's interesting because even in fundraising, right? They say you have to have like 100 no's before you get a yes. And
Yeah.
it's like if you knew that, then every no would be more exciting. Every time you hear no, you're like, awesome, I'm that much closer to a yes. And so really when you are like get to the no,
Yeah.
and yeah, then nobody's wasting time and it's closer to the yes and you can actually
Right.
focus on
On
real
who you need
opportunity.
to, right. And it was interesting because when you design and think of it that way, you also approach those meetings much differently, because then it becomes the level playing field of okay, I'm not selling to you. I'm really trying to discover if this is a relationship that needs to pursue any further than this meeting.
Exactly.
So it was a completely different mindset change for me.
Yeah, and you show up in different energy. It's not this
And yeah,
desperation. It's like, I have this great opportunity. It
right,
may or may not be a fit for you, but also are you a fit for the opportunity that I have? And that
right.
it does, it
If
shifts.
our value, it shifts it completely. And then also when you do the follow up, hey, if it's not a yes, it's either a maybe, or just tell me no so I can move on. No hard feelings.
Yep,
We're not a fit for everybody.
exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
interesting how much it also changed the psychology of like, oh well, oh wait, well maybe I don't either, because then you learn they don't really have the authority
Hmm.
that they have posed themselves to say they have the authority. So you really get out to like, "Oh, so who should I really be talking to at your organization? You might be a champion or maybe an influencer, but you're not the decision maker. So who do I need to talk to?"
And
Is what
that is,
usually,
yes,
yeah. So it
that is the
just
biggest.
changed, like I said, it just changed the entire, like, my flow and kinda like my confidence of, because it just changes the psychology of what's the purpose of that meeting and how are we gonna walk away from it. So, okay, so what have you discovered about yourself in this new endeavor? Industry and a landscape that was foreign to you. What did you learn about yourself?
What did I learn about myself? That I'm insane, that I love chasing. I don't, there's something about building something and learning and growing that it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
There are worse things to be addicted to than the thrill of, building a company. But really, I would say the biggest thing that this business has taught me, and may sound cheesy, but like the full on surrender to the process.
Ah.
I
Ah.
am I'm a get shit done person. And so I
Yeah.
really can force and push my way through things. And with this, especially, again, I'm going after these mammoth companies.
Right.
And there is a point where pushing and forcing is not the way to be. It's got to be a full blown, just full bodied, energetic
Yeah.
surrender to the process and knowing
Right.
that, we're in the right rooms, we're talking to the right people, but these things
Right.
don't happen overnight. They don't shift the Titanic in a
No.
second. It takes
Well, you're
time.
dealing with people that are imperfect.
Exactly. Well, and people that, they may be the VP of North America for the company, but they don't write the POs and
They
they
don't
don't.
have that full authority. Yeah.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
not the person. They have to take it to their team and then their team has to meet about it and
Right.
blah, blah. And, meanwhile, they're running a massive organization where like gold straws just don't happen to be their priority.
Right.
So yeah, I think it is just that full surrender to the process and really learning to enjoy the process
Mm.
along with it, because something, I always thought I'm building a business, I'm building an empire, all of these things, but like this building something will work on you and you can resist it, or you just have to surrender to the process that's also of building yourself.
Yeah.
Because it you will face yourself in a way that I don't know of any other thing that forces you to
It
see
is humbling,
humbling
like
every insecurity,
1,000%.
every fear. It highlights it,
Yep.
imposter syndrome. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so it's like, I think that's the biggest thing is, yeah, just surrender to the process wholly
Yeah.
and
And you're gonna
don't,
learn,
oh,
like,
yeah, whether you want to or not.
you're gonna learn not just, like, where you're but I think you learned so much about yourself because
Hmm.
of that humbling of,
Hmm.
your boundaries, or you start
Oh,
setting
yeah.
them, or you truly get faced with, "I really suck at this,
Well, it's
and I
that and it's
need to
and
work at
it's
it."
your relationship to money. It's your relationship
Oh, yeah.
to success. I mean,
Mm,
it's I if you would have told me you're afraid of success, I'd be like, "What? Nuh-uh. That's what I'm after." But there's these, underlying subconscious fears that until you're put in a position where
mm,
you're constantly facing yourself and like, okay, what is really going on here? What is the root here?
right.
And you better be
Mm,
ready to face those things or you're gonna hold yourself back. And
uh
so that's been a big lesson for me.
If trying to think of what is the most surprising, like, if our listeners, this is not anything that's like on resume or LinkedIn, but what would be something that we'd be really surprised or I'd be surprised to learn about you?
Like personally or as it relates
Yeah,
to business?
either one. Yeah.
Well, I think it's out there on my LinkedIn and stuff, but I am a survivor of abuse.
Okay.
All of the above, mental, physical, emotional,
Wow.
physical, sexual, all of the
All of
things.
that. And that's why part of your proceeds go to help full circle. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. Because I have been in the position of needing support.
Mm,
And luckily, there are organizations and people that have been incredible. And so that is a big part of where my impact is. So I think it's interesting because a lot of people meeting me, I give off like strong, strong, independent energy, but
yeah.
I had to fight for that.
Yeah. You had to
So
grow into that skin. Okay.
I had to really do a lot of work around worthiness, enoughness, which
Mm,
is actually a very common wound in a lot
yeah.
of humans. And so in working on healing with myself, what I've really learned is so much of us are have so much more in common than we don't. My story might be really obvious what the trauma is, but trauma is trauma is trauma. And at the root of humanity, there's these
Right.
core wounds that there's common threads. And so that is something that I've been really invested on is healing. So plant medicine is an like big
Yeah.
part of that journey. So that would be possibly a surprise as well. I guess on the business side of things, I was nominated for a global award as a hairdresser in the category of
Nice.
precision back in
Congratulations.
thank you.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
It was a
That's a
long
win.
time ago. It was a huge win. I mean, even just and I was, like, so green at that stage of my career, so it was shocking to be included in that category,
Mm,
because it is one of the most technically advanced categories in
wow.
hairdressing, and really, I was so battling with the enoughness, worthiness, and,
Mm,
like, being in the room with these heavy hitters, I was like, "Who am I even being in this room?" But that was
yeah.
it. Every little
How did
win.
you show up differently? I mean, just all the healing and going, "I'm just gonna bring it full."
Well, and
Yeah.
honestly, it was one of my hair heroes that was in the award. It was like the pre-party to the award show. And he came over and was like, I don't think I know you. And I was like, oh, that's
Mm,
because I'm nobody. Like, well, and he just was like, who hurt you? He's like, you are more than worthy. You're here. You're in this room. And I just started sobbing because no one had ever told
wow.
me that I was worthy before. And so it was just like this moment of like, wow, this stranger, I know who he is. He doesn't know who I
Mm,
am. I've been like, he's an amazing hairdresser and he's an icon. And he's here telling me I'm worthy. And that was a pivotal moment for me. And it's when like
mm,
that belief in myself really started. And it's like, I do deserve to be in these rooms. I may not be the
yeah.
best hairdresser in the world, but I'm here. And that wasn't
Right.
an accident. And so each one of those little wins that I've had has kind of fueled that fire and kind of healed the wound of around worthiness and enoughness
Mm.
and until I started believing in
Who is your favorite cheerleader now?
I have to say Jules and Stace.
Yeah.
they
They are
rally.
dynamic,
They
right?
are
Oh,
dynamic and they rally and I mean, they beat down doors arm in arm with you. I have never come across people, much less women, that will just join arms
mm,
and just believe. And there are days where I'm, in tears and falling apart and they're like, "You got this." And I'm like, "Okay, as long as you ladies are by my side, I can do this. I
right.
can do
I
this."
can do anything. Yeah.
Exactly, and support,
That's so good.
especially from
Shout
women.
out to Jules and Stace
Absolutely.
for being great cheerleaders. So, what's been the most rewarding aspect?
I think the most rewarding is, of course, when you get that, like, yes, that validation,
Mm.
that, like,
Other people want this too?
yeah, that I'm not crazy. I mean, again, people look at me like I have 7 heads when I tell them what my product is. They're like, "What?" And, there's been negative comments and all this, but the people that get it, um, it it's just very validating that, like, okay,
Mm,
there's something to this.
yeah,
And it's the fuel to keep going.
I love it. I was like, hey, what was the feeling when you got your either prototype or you saw the product for the first time in your and felt it in your hands? What was that emotion? What was
There's
going through your mind?
nothing like it. I mean, designing something from nothing and then holding it in your hand. And our first one was so ugly. It was so bad. But still, it was
Did you
like, "Oh
keep
my
it?
God, I still
Did you
have it."
keep okay, I was like, you
Absolutely.
need to
I've
do
kept
like the
every single
iteration.
yes, I have kept every single one and I still use every single one. But yeah, I mean, just I'm designing another product, and it's again working when you. I'm a visual person. I close my eyes, and there's a lot going on visually, and so to take something from my brain and see it in the tangible 3D is just unreal. And I do that with hairdressing all the time, but it's just
It
different.
was different. Yeah.
It's just different when it's your product, and then to see your product, on its way to a dream partnership, it's like, wow,
Right.
this is really, really happening.
I did it. Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
really,
so
it's
exciting.
really awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so if you had to sum up your journey in one word, what would the word be to describe it?
I think the word would be resilience.
Yeah.
I started my first business at 20. I have bootstrapped every business
Mm.
I've had. I have not had financial support, um, really since I was 15. So it's resilience. It's that getting back up, especially after failure. When I lost my business during COVID, that was a
Yeah.
blow. And I had
Yeah,
lost
yeah.
friends and family. I had raised money from friends and family. And to
Mm.
face them and tell them I lost their money was humbling, to say the least.
Yeah.
So yeah, resilience, getting back up, starting
Just
over and knowing when to quit. But yeah, that resilience of just like can't
just
keep me
keep going.
down.
That's
I'm
right.
always gonna land on my
Determination.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you face next chapter, what word do you want to define the next chapter?
I would say impact. I
Mm.
I want to leave a legacy. I want to create
Yeah.
impact in my community and really create impact for our planet.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to me to really, really create an impact around conservation and sustainability and really a push for all things reusable. I think it's just you look at microplastic, all the
All of that.
damage that we've done to our earth and our bodies and our
Yeah.
societies. I think it would be really incredible to have a piece of impact in there.
Is that the vision for EcoLux Goods is to be more than just straws?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
We are an impact driven company, and that's what I want it to be, a symbol of sustainability, a
Mm,
symbol of solidarity, a symbol of your ethics and where,
mm,
you're choosing to spend your money.
right.
And yeah,
Reflection on your values, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
self-reflection. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, that's
exactly.
so nice. All right. So if we met a year from now, what will we be celebrating? What's the win?
The win. Wow. I think we'd be celebrating the launch of my second product, the launch of that, and I think seeing my product in these massive hospitality people that
venues.
we're going after. That will be a huge win for
All right.
sure.
Well, we're going to manifest it
Yes,
and
please.
we'll celebrate it.
Yes.
And then, like, what's the best piece of advice that either you've kind of created yourself or what other, people like a Jules or in Stace have given you that you really taken to heart that you can share with our listeners?
I would, it's pretty cliche, but it's just believe in yourself. If you don't believe
Yeah.
in yourself, no one else is going to. And you have to believe in yourself even when everyone is doubting you. And it's not easy to do,
Mm-mm.
but you just have to find that unshakable belief in yourself and your product and your values and everything that you're doing. So when people look at you like you have seven heads, you just like,
Y-
okay, you
Yeah,
don't live in my reality. My reality
that's right.
is this is a thing and we're pushing for it.
That's right. Leo, this was fantastic. I love talking to you today.
Yeah, thank
This was
you.
wonderful. Before we go, where can people support you, connect with you, find more about EcoLux Goods, find a straw to help?
Yeah.
What do we need to do?
Well, I'm most active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So on
Okay.
LinkedIn, Lael Berry, Barry, and you spell my name Lael. And then on Instagram, EcoLux Goods at EcoLux Goods, and then it's also Lael dot EcoLux. And so
Okay.
those are the two Instagrams, and you can find us on our website. But again, we are solely wholesale at this point.
Right. Well, very good. Well, we are going to champion, put it out there.
Thank you,
Gold
thank
straws
you.
for everybody.
I know. Hey, you never know. I see a future where everyone has a gold straw.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This was such a good, I love the conversation. And that's a wrap on today's chaos, but the journey doesn't stop here. If you found yourself nodding along, laughing, and agreeing with Lael, going same, 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 make sure to subscribe, share, leave us that 5-star review on Spotify. Or you can dig deeper into our founder resources, our tools, or more episodes over at orangewhip.com. And that's orangewip.com for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Until next time, stay curious, stay scrappy, and we will see you again next week.